Today we're going to have a look at the Engwe Engine Pro 2. It is a big bike with big improvements. It has a 6061 aluminum frame,
20 by 4 inch knobby tires,
75 Newton meters of torque, 1200 watt peak, 750 watt rated hub motor. It has a 52 volt 16 amp hour battery. That is a lot of capacity compared to typical e-bikes. The max speed is rated at 20 miles per hour in throttle alone, 28 with pedal assist, and we will test this later in the video.
which is definitely too fast for middle-aged men.
Engwe claims that this e-bike has 30 miles of range with throttle alone and 68 miles with pedal assist. And we're gonna test that out because that is kind of outrageously good. Okay, so they have hydraulic brakes with comfy rubberized grip and made it to 160 millimeter rotors. It has a 8-speed transmission that is clicked here, and here is a click type of system. It seems to work really well just based on this usage right here. It has a lockable suspension for the front. In the rear, it has a 1,000-pound shock absorber right here in the middle,
Which my cat-loving aunt would love.
The folding mechanism is incredibly easy to use. It's just slide forward and pull. Same with the top handle, which folds, which is incredibly easy to fold and lock in place. This top portion right here can be raised or lowered for taller riders to adjust the handlebars. Same with the seats. It has a quick unlock mechanism, and this is as long as it gets. However, you wouldn't be able to extend it all the way. You can definitely extend it quite a bit for taller riders.
Asians not applicable.
It will accommodate riders from 5'4" to 6'2" in height. Looking at the other components, it has metal fenders. Here is a nice bright light for night riding. The rear also has a light.
And it is a brake light.
Moving to the back, there is a protector for your gearing, and this protects the derailleur from incurring damages if you ever drop the bike sideways or it drops on its own sideways. Moving to the pedals, they are metal. They have these little knobs on them to prevent slippage, and on top of that, they fold for extra compactness that you may need. The kickstand is adjustable from the rear, and it's nice and beefy. 2 bolts right here. And it's a good idea when you get this thing that you tighten these screws up, or tighten all the screws in general, because they may be loose, and it's just a great idea to double check on all of that. The frame is nice and beefy aluminum, very big wells, nice handle to grab onto, and it just looks and feels very solid. The cable management is what it is. There's quick disconnections in case you need to remove just one of the items. It wraps down here and under the frame, and the controller sits inside of here, and the rest of the wires go feed right back under down here. The seat has a gap in the middle, and these types of seats are usually more comfortable than normal, and it's nice and firm. The rear rack is nice and beefy. It inspires confidence. It's not quite tall enough for another rider. Well, maybe it is. However, keep in mind it is rated for only 25 kilograms, so unless you're a toddler or a small kid, the display is nice, large, it looks great, even in bright sunlight. You have an information toggle right here, and you could just go through the trip, odometer, max, average speed. And it looks like it does have a secret menu. However, maybe in another video, I'll go over that.
The Engwe Engine Pro 2 goes for $12.99. Coupon and links in the description. Check it out. Alright, next up are the ride impressions for the Engwe Engine Pro 2. The first thing you'll notice right away is the torque sensor. Yes, it feels so different riding with this e-bike. Sure, you've got the throttle. However, with the torque sensor, you need to pedal with force. You need to deliberately pedal. You can't just ghost pedal and expect the engine to help you out. No, there has to be a good amount of force before it helps you out. You are one with the bike is one with you. And while the Engwe Engine Pro 2 is not a dirt bike, I found that the suspension does handle well. It does help with normal scenarios, normal city riding, normal off-roading. The budget style suspension system works out just fine. I couldn't find any flaws with it. The big knobby tires definitely help absorb the bumps, however they can be noisy at times. Shifting gears seemed quite easy. It's a different system than what I'm used to. It is a push and pull type of system. It seemed to shift smoothly throughout all of the 8 gears, and you'll definitely need 8 gears. More on that later. The cornering performance seemed adequate considering these are knobby tires. I wasn't expecting this much type of traction, but it does well in this scenario. The tire pressure was a little bit low, so that does increase comfort. However, that will be a decrease in long range capacity. More on that later. Other than that, it's really hard to fault this riding. It was a pleasure. It was comfortable. It was easy to ride. Aside from that, we'll take it upstairs. The down button is the walk mode, and you have to keep it held. You have to hold that button for it to activate.
So you can walk it upstairs. The key is just to keep the wheel down. So now we are going to do the speed test, and I can have a feeling already that it does 20 miles an hour. How fast is it? Here's throttle only, so you can get a feeling of how powerful it is. It's up to 20.
When it comes to pedal assist, it takes quite a bit of work if you want to go over 20 miles an hour. You have to be on pedal assist level 4 to hit 22. However, if you want to hit the top speed at 28, you have to pedal hard. And even then, I wasn't able to get the top speed. However, I got 27.5 miles an hour. Next up is the hill test. This is a 15% grade, and this is a 52 volt 750 watt motor. How's it gonna fare? I've tested other 750 watt motor e-bikes on this hill, and this hill is a tremendous challenge. And the Engwe Engine Pro 2 did very well. It maintained a minimum speed of around 9 miles an hour. So we're talking about a power equivalent to the Super 73. This is a powerful e-bike, and the 52 volts coursing through the engine does help the climbing power. The 75 newton meters of torque does live up to the hype, in my opinion. And while the hill does provide a challenge for any e-bike, the Engwe Engine Pro 2 did perform well with its climbing abilities. The brakes, they're hydraulic. This bike, it's very big, it's large, it's somewhat heavy. However, the stopping power, even with 160 millimeter rotors, seemed quite good. It was able to stop on a short distance. It feels responsive, confident, what you would expect from hydraulic brakes. It's nice that it can fold, but realistically, can this large, gigantic Engwe fit in this little automobile? Let's check it out. The trick here on how to handle the weight is that you want to fold it to the smallest size, and then you're going to use your hip. Keep it close to your hip. That's how you manage this weight. I have the seat pressed against my hip, and there you go. Just lift. Not quite. It's possible, though. I think it's possible. Just gonna angle it a little bit. Maybe, yeah. Here we go. Not quite. This is kind of cheating, but
the only way I see possible. Here, one of the seats gonna have to open it down a little bit. And so you have to pull one of the seats down unless you have like monster strength that you can just manipulate that bike. So yeah, it's not going to close all the way, but you can still sit here.
All things considered, I think that did pretty well. 77-pound fat tire e-bike fits in the trunk of a Prius with minor caveats. When it comes to the assembly, there is definitely some work involved. The e-bike comes maybe halfway assembled. You still have to do the fenders. You have to do the rear rack and the steering column. It does come with tools. However, you still need to be a little bit handy to assemble this. When it comes to the 8-speed Shimano Altus gearing, this is a bit different than what I've ever experienced, and that's taking it lightly. I've experienced many e-bikes, including very high-end $10,000 e-bikes, but this one is different. I kind of like it. I enjoyed it a lot because it's so simple. It's click up, click down. It's kind of like a shifting system that you would imagine on a sports car, even though this isn't a car. I found it smart, intuitive, and just so lovely to use, like back alley treasure. Bruh. When it comes to service and support, it may not be practical sending your entire e-bike back for support. That's like when you have trouble with your marriage, you send back your wife to your mother-in-law. Well, that might work out. Bruh. And yeah, on their website, they have manuals, they have instruction tutorials, video tutorials on how to unbox, how to assemble, how to disable your throttle, how to enable your throttle, and more. Check out their website if you need help with support issues. When it comes to range, the Engwe Engine Pro 2 has a 52 volt 16 amp hour battery, and because this is 52 volts, the 16 amp hour goes a bit further. It gives you 832 watt hours. And what does that mean? It means that you can ride longer as long as you're not mashing the throttle at every chance you get, as long as you're not riding 28 miles an hour throttle only, which is not possible. You have to pedal to get to that speed, so it's less likely for you to deplete the battery as fast. I was able to get 34 miles before depleting this battery, and that is better than advertised. Final thoughts. The Engwe Engine Pro 2 does live up to a lot of the hype. It does have a powerful motor. The 52 volts can be felt. It is a 10% increase from 48 volts, and you can feel it. There is globs of power. This engine bike, it may be the noise that produces, it may be the tires, but it sounds like a roaring monster, and yet it is very much like a bicycle, very natural in the power delivery that it has with the torque sensor. If you want it to go extremely fast, you have to work for it. You have to pedal, and the pedal has to sense that you're pedaling. That is the torque sensor working in all of its glory. With the introductory price of $12.99, I do think that the Engwe Engine Pro 2 is very competitively priced. It offers a full suspension, hydraulic brakes, very nice handling. However, there are some drawbacks. There needs to be a key mounted to ride, and I'm not the fan of the placement. The assembly might be too much for the less mechanically inclined. The look, it might not be everyone's cup of tea. It is a strong, aggressive bike. However, the look is rather conservative. Overall, I think the utility of this bike is fantastic. Nice rear rack, folding abilities, fat tire, all-terrain, shocks on both ends. Even though I might have been a bit skeptical about the range, it did hold up, and it is a delight for longer rides. If you're into folding fat tire e-bikes, it's hard to go wrong with the Engwe Engine Pro 2. Anyhow, that's all I have for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to like, subscribe, share. See you in the next one. Take care.